My autistic son didn't speak for 4 years. Then one night I started tapping a rhythm on the kitchen table and he tapped back. When my son Cashel was born, everything looked perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes, healthy lungs, but by 18 months he still wasn't talking. Not a word, not mama, not dada, not even babbling the way other babies did. He'd sit in his high chair staring at the wall behind us like we weren't there. By his second birthday, the pediatrician used the word autism, and my wife Roslyn and I felt the ground disappear. We did everything. Speech therapy 3 times a week, occupational therapy twice, sensory integration, special diets. We tried a program that cost $4,000 and promised breakthroughs in 6 weeks. Nothing. Cashel lived behind glass. He'd repeat phrases from cartoons in perfect mimicry, but never once used a word to talk to us. Dinner was silence except for his humming. Bedtime meant 45 minutes of screaming, if his blanket wasn't folded exactly right. I started staying late at work because coming home felt like walking into a war zone I couldn't fight. Roslyn was exhausted and angry, and we stopped talking about anything except appointments and meltdowns. Friends disappeared. Family gatherings ended after Cashel threw himself on the floor because someone moved his cup to a different spot on the table. One night I came home to an empty house. Roslyn had taken Cashel to her mother's for the evening. I sat at the kitchen table in the dark, too tired to turn on a light. I started tapping the table with my fingers. Just a rhythm, nothing specific. Nervous energy. Then I heard footsteps. Roslyn had brought Cashel back early because he wouldn't sleep. He walked into the kitchen, stopped in front of me, and tilted his head. He'd never approached me on his own before. Not once in 4 years. I kept tapping. He listened for about 10 seconds. Then he tapped back on the table. Same rhythm. Exact same pattern. I changed the rhythm. He copied it instantly. I did a complicated one. He matched it beat for beat without hesitating. My hands started shaking. I grabbed a wooden spoon and tapped a melody on the counter. He found another spoon and played it back note for note. I was crying before I even realized it. This kid who wouldn't look at me was standing 3 feet away, having a conversation through rhythm. Roslyn walked in and thought something terrible had happened because I was sobbing at the kitchen table while Cashel tapped spoons next to me. From that night, everything changed. I turned our routines into rhythms. Getting dressed had its own beat. Brushing teeth was a pattern of 3 taps. Walking to the car was a specific knock sequence on the doorframe. Cashel would tap along, adding his own variations that were honestly better than mine. The real breakthrough came when I created what I called our I love you beat. 4 taps. Too fast, too slow. Simple enough to do anywhere. One afternoon, Cashel was melting down because his favorite shirt was in the wash. Full screaming, hitting himself, pulling at his hair. Nothing worked. I sat on his bedroom floor and tapped our pattern on my knee. 4 taps. Too fast, too slow. Cashel stopped mid-scream, looked right at me. Then he tapped it back on the floor so hard it echoed. He walked over and put his forehead against mine. First time he'd ever voluntarily touched me. I tapped it again, and he tapped back louder like he was shouting it. We sat there on the carpet forehead to forehead having our first real conversation without a single word. People thought we were insane. My brother-in-law said we were enabling him instead of forcing real communication. Roslyn's mom whispered about finding a residential program. Cashel's teacher said she'd never seen anything like it and didn't know what to make of a kid who only responded through percussion. But Cashel was happy. For the first time in his life, he was genuinely happy. He'd wake up tapping rhythms on his headboard. He created beats for every stuffed animal he owned. Roslyn learned the system, and soon we had entire conversations through patterns. Cashel knew the rhythm for hungry and tired and outside and scared and done. Then one morning when Cashel was 6, he was sitting at the table tapping our I love you pattern over and over while I made breakfast. I tapped it back without thinking. He stopped, looked directly at me, and said in this tiny clear voice, "Dad, I love you too." He'd known what those 4 taps meant the entire time. He just needed to find his own way to say it out loud.